Hello everybody, Corey here. We are going to go over the daily holdings and trades for the single stock ETFs. Just a reminder, I am not a licensed investment or financial advisor. I obtain the data, make it into something somewhat presentable for you here on YouTube. Just a reminder, the YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky and are income only ETFs and not growth. They have lots of risks here defined and listed on their website. And we're gonna go ahead and start out with the holdings themselves here. And then we'll jump over to the trades a couple of times. So if we get zoomed in here, so AIYY, we have no trades listed here. They did close, just to let you know, overall we've closed up today in the green, and every YieldMax ETF did close up today. But we can see that they closed at 12:04 while AI closed at 22:33. We do have a synthetic position that closes next week, that expires next week, and it has a strike price of $22, and we have finally came above that, so we've gotten lucky there with a short few week synthetic position. We also have our short call that expires this Friday that has a $22 strike price, in which we are over. So we can see here on the right hand side on the synthetic positions, we're only positive 18 cents for being above the strike price, but for our short call we're actually negative 34 cents for being over the strike price by 1%. So it is Tuesday, so we still have several days left to go. But we're going to move on to AMDY here. It closed up at $16.93 today. AMD closed at $152.24. We have two short calls that expire Friday with strike prices of $155 and $157.50, which we're currently underneath 2 and 3%. And then we have the synthetic position with a synthetic position with a strike price of $200, in which we're underneath that by 24%. As you can see in column AB, the synthetic position being down 24% is bringing AMDY stock price down by $5.19. Yeah, as you can see on the left-hand side, to close out that synthetic position is roughly 25%. Well, for just looking at the net assets, it's a third of the net assets here. But, if the synthetics were worth, up to zero, then this would bring this up to worth $137 million. So that's having like a 25% effect on it there. I'm sorry, my my throat and stuff. It's all these videos I've done so far. We'll move on to AMZ here. We see there's no trades listed. AMZ closed at $22.69, while Amazon closed at $179.52. There are 3 short calls that expire Friday, and we're only 48 cents from the first one. And then we have a 182.50, which we're under by 2%, and 187.50, and we're under by 4%. Our synthetic strike price is 185, and we are currently underneath that by 3%. And sorry, I forget to do this on the first one, but just, as a rule of thumb, normally when we do these, you want the synthetic position, you want to be above, you want the stock price to be above the synthetic strike price, and you want the stock price to be below the short call strike price. Of course, here it's a little bit differently because the stock price had been going down like most of these, so the short call strike prices may be lower than normal, as those are normally put on weekly there. But if we go over here to the right hand side, we can see how this affects the overall stock price of AMZ, and the synthetic position being underneath the strike price by 3% is bringing the stock down 62 cents. If we move on to Apple, it closed today at 16.30. Apple closed at 166.82. We have no trades to go over here. We have 3 short calls. I'm sorry, between my throat and yawning and everything. We have 3 short calls that expire Friday with a strike price of 167.50, which we're only away from, roughly 68 cents. And then we have 170, which we're under by 2%, and 172.50, and we're underneath by 3%. And then we have our synthetic strike price, which we're underneath by 2%. And then you can see that puts us at negative 26 cents a share for Apple being underneath the synthetic position. And then if we move on to Coney here, we have no shares. Coney closed at 24.86 while Coin closed at 236.41. We have 3 short calls, and we are over 2 of the strike prices. 232.50 we're over by 2%, and the 235 we're over 1%, and then we have the original 255 strike price, which we're under by 7%. Then we have our synthetic positions here with the strike prices of 260, and we're still underneath those, the synthetic strike price by 9. As you can see, the synthetic share price or the synthetic being underneath, I can't even talk now, I'm getting too tired. The stock price being underneath the strike price by 9% is causing Coney to be down $2.40. Now, having the 2 short calls being over the strike price is causing the stock to be down roughly 91 cents or so. I say that only because I guess it'd be 92, because either way you're going to pay 1 cent to close out each share, regardless there. So, yeah, 80, 90, 93 minus 2, 90, 91 cents. So I had it right to begin with. But anyway, of course, that's to show you how it correlates to the stock price. Of course, you can just look over on the left and see that the synthetic is going to cost $40.5 million to close it out, but that doesn't give you, it doesn't really show you as far as the relevancy to the stock price. But that is there on the left-hand side, should you want to see that as well. For Dizzo, we have no trades to go over here. Dizzo closed at 20.44 while Disney closed at 113.71. We have a short call here with the strike price of 114 that expires Friday, and we're only underneath that by 29 cents. Then we have our synthetic strike price of 120, and we're underneath that by 5%. You can see that is causing the stock price to be down $1.06. Phoebe here closed at 21.65. Meta closed at 495.78. We have 1 short call that expires Friday with a strike price of 550, and we're underneath that by 10%. And we have 2 synthetic positions with strike prices of 515 and 525, and we're underneath those by 4 and 6%. You can see the synthetic positions are bringing the overall stock price of Phoebe down by roughly, I'm thinking, I don't guess we usually have to worry about these having to pay at least 1 cent to close these out because these are going to be different prices than the short call. So yeah, so roughly down $1.18 there for the synthetic positions. If we go on to GUI here, it closed at 1756. Alphabet closed at 158.27. We have no trades to go over. We do have 2 short calls that expire Friday with the strike prices of 160 and 162.50. So we're underneath those by 1 and 3%. And we have the synthetic position with the strike price of 150. And we are above that by 6%. So you can see by being above the synthetic position there by 6% is bringing the stock price up $1.01 there. If we move on to JPMO, it closed at $20.06. JPM closed at 192.14. We have no trades to go over. We do have 3 short calls that expire this Friday, in which we are over all of them: 180, 182.50, and 185, and the stock price is at 192.14. So we are over those strike prices by 7, 5, and 4%. Now, we also have our synthetic position at a $200 strike price, and we're underneath that by 4%. So it seems everything's going against this stock, yet it's still about $20. So if we look here for our synthetic position, it's bringing the stock price down 77 cents, while our short calls are bringing the stock down by 98 cents. Of course, these, even if the stock price stayed the same, these over here per share will go down as we get closer to the expiration date. And I say that because, let's see, well, we got 1205. Sorry, I'm doing math in my head and I shouldn't be trying to do that. Maybe they won't go down too much. All right. Let's do Murney here. Okay, so let's look at the trades. So for Murney, we only had to do this for 2. But Murney here, it looks like somebody or some people sold out of this, so they ended up selling out of 100 positions. So you see the top 2 lines there are 100 of the synthetic positions. Then they closed out of the short call that expires this Friday, where they had 50 contracts, and then they closed out 50 of the contracts with the option expiration date of next week. So if we go over here to the holdings for Murney, we can see that Murney closed at 20.51, Moderna closed at 107.89, and then you can see most of the closed positions here, except for the one that no longer exists, which is the one that had the strike price for this Friday. So now we only have 1 short call that expires next Friday, but it does have a strike price of 108, which we're only under by 11 cents. We also have our synthetic position with a strike price of 110, and we're underneath that by 2%. We can see over here on the right-hand side that the synthetic position is bringing the overall stock price down 34 cents, and because our short call is out a week and a half, it's bringing the stock price down 96 cents. If we move on to MSFO, it closed at 21.42. Microsoft closed at 407.06. We have 2 short calls that expire Friday with strike prices of 415 and 432.50, and we're underneath those by 2 and 6%. Our synthetic positions here, strike price is $425, and we're below that by 4%. We can see here that being underneath that synthetic position just by 4%, it's bringing the stock price down 87 cents. If we move on to Misty, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I was not zoomed in here. Hopefully you're okay being able to see it. But Misty here closed at 33.23. MicroStrategy closed slightly up at 1338.64. You can see they added 45 contracts to the synthetic position and created a new short call expiring this Friday with a strike price of $14.35. We also have strike prices for short calls of $13.95 and $14.00. So we're underneath the short call strike prices by 4 and 6%, and we're 16% above our synthetic position. So our synthetic position's bringing the stock price up $4.65. And you can see our short calls here just is bringing it down roughly 66 cents. But it will go down as we get closer to its expiration. Netflix here closed at 17.31. Netflix closed at 577.52. And we have no trades to go over. Short call expires Friday with a strike price of $5.85, and we're underneath that by 1%. And our synthetic strike price, we're underneath by 9%, which is bringing the stock price down $1.69. If we move on to NVIDIA, the stock closed today at 25.11, while NVIDIA closed at 824.18. We have 3 short calls that expire Friday. We have one strike price at 8.10, which are already over 2% or $14 plus. And then, let's see, so it's not bringing the stock price down much because there's not a lot of contracts sitting there. But then we have the short call strike price of 8.40 and 8.50, which were under 2 and 3%. Then we have our synthetic position of strike price at 9.15, and we're underneath that 10%. Being underneath that so significantly there, you can see is costing us $2.64 a share due to that synthetic position. All right, OARC closed at 11.50. ARC closed at 43.87, and we have no trades to go over. We have 3 short calls that expire Friday, 43, 44, and 45 strike prices. We are under the first one by 2%, but we don't have a lot of contracts there. And the next one we're only under by 13 cents, which is where half of our contracts are, the majority. And then we have the 45 strike price, which are under 3%, which has the next almost half of the share count there. And then we have our synthetic strike price of $50, which we're under by 12%, which is bringing the stock price down $1.58 a share. If we move on to PayPay, we need to go look at the trades for this one. I think, let's see, we'll look at them and see if we really needed to. No, because those are actually all being captured on the holding since they still have existing positions here. Yeah. So PayPay here closed at $18.92. PayPal closed at $64.43, and you can see some of these have been sold out of. So they sold out of 100 contracts of the synthetics, and the short call strike price is $65. They probably should have done the other one, but oh well. We can see we had the 64 and 65 strike price. We're over the 64 by 43 cents, so we're under the 65 by 57 cents. And then, of course, our synthetic position here is a $65 strike price, and we're underneath that by 1%. Overall, it looks like the short calls are actually negative 20 cents, while our synthetics negative 9 cents. But these should go down as we get closer to expiration and possibly rise up just a little bit. Yeah, we don't mind it going up. That this one right here is only 165 contracts here at that lower dollar amount or that lower strike price. Let's move on to SQUE. We closed at 22.51. Block closed at 75.21. There are no trades to go over. We do have 2 short calls here that expire Friday, and we're over both of those strike prices. 74 strike price, we're over by 2% or $1.21, and the $75 strike price, we're over 21 cents. We also have our synthetic position strike price at $80, and we're underneath that by 6%. So the synthetic positions bringing the stop price down $1.34, and the short calls are bringing the stop price down 57 cents. If we move on to Tesla, it closed today at 13.18. Of course, those of us that were watching it know that it came up $1 something at after hours. Whether it stays there, who knows? Same thing with Tesla. It closed today at 144.61, but it was up 20 something dollars in after hours. So we will see. But looking at the closed data here, we had 2 short calls. 162.50 and 175, which we were under 11 and 7%, and we have our 2 synthetic positions, 170 and 175, we're under 15 and 17%. So we look to see how this affects the share price. Our synthetic positions are causing the stock price to be down over $2.50. As you can see, the total amount of synthetic value over there is negative $116.4 million, which is roughly 20% of the net assets there. So we'll see how it looks tomorrow and if the stock price stays up tomorrow. If we move on to Zomo here, it closed at 18.51 while Exxon closed at 121.03. We have 3 short call positions. One's 21, which we're over by 3 cents, 122 and 123, and we're under those by 1 and 2%. And then we have a synthetic strike price of 120. Not a lot of effect on the stock price over there on the right. YMAG closed today at 19.26, while YMAX closed today at $20.01. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video today, which I don't know how much you can truly enjoy something that's just lots of numbers and dates and, data being thrown at you. I mean, that's what I do. I like it. It's me. I'm a data person. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great day tomorrow, and let's hope the Tesla price stays up. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye.